What's going on, guys? I hope everybody had a good weekend. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this staff attack effect. So you can see that there's like a little half circle that's coming out of the end of my staff when my character attacks. This really adds a lot to the attack, so we're going to be doing that today. The entire project is available for download in the description of the video for free. And if you guys are enjoying the series so far, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And yeah. Okay, so here we are in Blender. If you don't have Blender, you can download Blender for free from the internet. So just Google it. And this is a software you can use to make models, and we're just going to make a very simple model today. So when you load up Blender, you get this like default cube, and we're just going to delete it, and you can press Shift A on your keyboard to add another thing, and we'll click Mesh and just add a UV sphere. You can press R to rotate, X to lock on the X-axis, and then 90 to rotate it 90 degrees, and then you can press Tab to go into edit mode. And at the top left here, you see like there's these three options. We want to do face select, and then if you press Alt Z on your keyboard, you can see through the object so that you can select all the faces at the same time. Then you'll press 3 on your number pad, and you'll get this side view, so you're looking exactly from the side of it. And then you just have to drag. I think I just did this many. So just select this left half, including this extra layer, and just press delete, and you can actually, delete the faces, not the vertices, because it adds an extra layer if you do vertices. Okay, so after you're done that, you can press Alt Z again to get out of that mode, and then Tab again to go back into object mode. Right click this and shade it smooth so that it doesn't have like those little lines in it. This is all I did to make this little half circle effect. If you want, you can make it a little bit imperfect by moving some of the vertices around. So if you go back into edit mode, you can click vertices, press A on your keyboard to select everything. If you right click, you can press randomize vertices. And then in this little menu at the bottom, just make the number like way smaller. I'm not gonna do this for mine because I like when it's perfectly smooth, but if you want to make yours random, you definitely can do that. It's definitely an option. When you're done, if you go to the file menu, you can press export, choose the FBX option, and then inside of your downloads folder, wherever you can put wherever you want to. You could just call this staff effect tutorial. Call it whatever you want to, it doesn't matter. And then on the right side here, you just have to scroll down a little bit, change this from all local to FBX unit scale, and then turn off the bake animations. There's obviously no animations for this file that we're just making. So let's just click export here. And then back in Unity, I'm just gonna get out of the game. Let's create a new folder. We'll call this staff effect tutorial. So we just want to drag that file into this folder so that we have the model for this in our game. And yeah, what we want to do from there is we want to create a visual effect. So if you right click at the bottom, you can click create visual effect graph. If you don't see this option, you can turn it on in the window menu. So if you go to window, package manager, and then at the top, you see how it says Unity Registry? Just make sure it says Unity Registry. It defaults to in project, but I already went in here. And then at the top right, you can type in visual, and this should bring up the option for the visual effect graph. And you just have to press install here if you don't have it installed already. After you've created this, you want to drag this onto your staff. So in my case, it's under, let me just disable the one that I already have. And mine is inside of this stick wizard, this new stick wizard character. On the old model, it is under staff 01. It'd be right here. So if you're using the old model, I don't recommend this. You should download the new one if you are. But if you're using the old model, it would go into staff 01. If you want to use the new model, you just have to drag this into this cylinder. The cylinder is the staff, okay? And this will make it attached to the game object. So when he swings his staff, this effect will move with the staff. And then in the top right, we just want to reset this transform. So if you click these little dots in the top right, you can hit reset, and it will reset everything to the default values. And then we just want to move this up so it actually is near the staff. So just do that to the best of your ability. And it can be actually a little bit to the left down the staff, because we want the effect like this little cylinder should start back here and it should go shooting down the staff like this way. So that's how it's going to work. So let's hit save here, and then we'll double click the staff tutorial, which will open up the visual effect graph. And this is where you like actually set up the settings for the graph. And we're just going to change a lot of these settings. So the first thing is, instead of having an output particle quad, which is what these are, they're like little tiny images. They're like square images, right? We're just going to delete that. And we're going to drag this particle into a output particle URP lit mesh. And so when you do this, it changes it into a capsule by default. But what we want to do is we actually want to put this sphere from our staff effect, the thing that we just made in Blender, we want to drag that into the mesh slot. And you can see that now it's putting a bunch of half spheres and they're just kind of flying away from the starting spot. So we don't want that. So if you go to the top of the graph, you can see there's like a spawn context menu. Just click on the constant spawn rate and delete it. And then if you press spacebar in here, type in burst and just turn it onto single burst and just change the count to 1. You can change the capacity to 1 as well. So we only want 1 particle coming out. We don't want the velocity to be random, so you can just set this to 0 on everything for now. And then for the velocity random, just change the B to 1. And sorry, the Z to 1. So you can see it's coming down the staff. Now let's make it 3 so it's more apparent. So yeah, so you can see it's going down the staff. And we're eventually going to replace this whole context, but we're just doing that for now. We don't want the lifetime to be random, okay? We want this to be off. So turn off the random in this little menu thingy on the right. And you're going to make this 0.4. And let's just change the speed to like 10 so it goes flying. Okay, this has to be very short because when he attacks, this has to finish before he's done swinging. So his swing only takes about 0.4 seconds. So this has to be a less time than that because it has to appear at the right time. You can adjust this after you have it set up, and you when you actually click the attack button in your game and you see the animation, you can tweak it and make it match based on whatever you have set. So we want this to be bigger, okay? It's too small. So right above here, we just want to do set size. Just click anywhere and type space and then set size. Sometimes it doesn't show all the options. And then this can be override. So you can see in the top right here, there's a composition. If you put set size after where you've already set a size, you have to change this from override to multiply. But because this is the first set size in the thing, we can just set that here. And we're just going to make it like 3 so we can see it. Okay, cool. All right, and we're gonna drag this set velocity block into the update particle. And then we wanna get a curve. So let's press spacebar to add a thing here on the left. And let's add a sample curve. And so in the time field, we can drag this to the left into time over life, age over lifetime. Yeah, that's it. And then we can put this into a multiply. So this will be the full speed of how fast it's going. And then we don't want this to be random. We just want this to be like always the same speed. And we only want this to go into the Z-axis. So the reason we're using a curve is we want it to start off going extremely fast, like the full speed. And let's actually do all the way up to like 2. So it starts out going 2, which is like super fast. And then in the middle, like we want this to stop moving altogether. So about like 0.6 seconds in, it's going to be here already, but then it's going to be moving very slowly. Like you can make it like a little tiny angle here, and then you can drag these little handlebar things to make it smoother if you want to. So let's see how that works. And I think in setting the size, we're moving it. So we need to add a pivot to it so that it actually doesn't, we didn't set the origin correctly in here. So the origin, you should right click and set origin to geometry so that it actually goes in the middle. So when we're scaling it, so if you do this in Blender, if you press S and you scale it, you can see that it doesn't like scale, like the bigger it gets, the further away from the starting point that it gets. You can see that like there's a gap here, right? There's a gap. Well, that's happening in Unity. So then we need to set the pivot to move. You could fix the model if you wanted to and just re-export it, or you can set the pivot. It doesn't matter. So just set pivot. And then what we want to do is we want to play this in here, and we want to just pause it right away Oops. 100%. Oh my god. Okay, so this is starting here, and it's the wrong direction. Oh, we need to set the angle. Okay, so inside of this context menu, let's just change a bunch of settings right here. So right at the top in the initialized particle, we're gonna press spacebar and set angle. God, did it again. Set angle. And I think it will be 180. Yeah, 180 on the x-axis for the angle. So set angle 180, so that's facing the right direction. Okay, and then I think this is actually fine. This is obviously way too big, so let's just set the size to 1 and it's save. And then in order for this to play again, you have to click on it and just hit this play button so it continues. So it's not going nearly fast enough. We needed to go way faster. So in this multiply float, just change this to like 20 for now, and let's see how fast that is. Okay, that looks like it's way too fast, so let's do 10. Okay, and because we're playing it from here, you get like this little artifact at the beginning. That won't happen when you actually play it, and we're just gonna delete this pivot. You could move it a little bit to the left because it is offsetting, but it's not enough to actually matter, I don't think. So we're just gonna leave it like that. So this is looking good. I want it to come a little bit further. So maybe set the lifetime. No, I think the lifetime has to be 0.4. But maybe set this to 12 so it goes a little bit faster. There we go. So then in the game view, when you press play, you can see that it's going in front of the staff. And again, it has to be really quick because of the way that it is. So the next thing we're going to do is in the bottom, if you press the space bar, you can do the set size. Oh my God, why does this keep happening? Set size over life. And like I said before, if you add a size node, you have to change this from overwrite to multiply, because if you don't, otherwise it will just overwrite it and it'll just be like 0 to 0.4, which is really, really small. So we'll leave this at 0 to start. Actually, just at the bottom, if you have this option right here, just click this one. So it starts out really small and it gets bigger as it goes down the staff. And you could even put a point in the middle if you want to. That way it gets to the full size while it's like near the end. So this number should be the same as this number. So this one's at 0.657. So then you should try to make this one at 0.657 too. So it's the full size when it starts like gliding slower. Okay, and then we also want to, if you click spacebar again, you can multiply the color over life. So we want this to start out at full opacity. And then as it gets to the end, it will be 0. And then you also want to make this really bright at the start. So like maybe like 4.3. And then at the end, you could just leave this gray color. That's fine. Let's hit save again. So you can see this doesn't affect the actual color. And the reason it doesn't affect it is because the if you click on this URP lit mesh, the color mode by default is just the base color, but we need to use the emissive. So in this color mode, just click everything. This will make it so that all of the things are affecting it. So like the emission is also affecting it. By default, it doesn't. So then if we save this, you can see that it's kind of flashy and bright. I changed it to additive in the other one. I don't really remember. Oh, okay. So then the next problem is we have the default particle selected. Instead of default particle, just choose this drop down and just change it to the very bottom one. This is what gives it the kind of gradient. So the reason this isn't good is because we need to set the UVs on this. So if you look at this, just press, so you go back to your model in Blender. Again, you can just download mine from the description of the video, it'll be right. But you can see in Unity, when we press play on this, the circle for the particle is in the wrong spot. It's over here on the left. And that's because we didn't set any UVs inside of Blender. So if you go to UV editing tab, you can see that when you have this all selected, it's set up like this, where all the squares are just at the very bottom. We don't actually want that. We want to just press 1 on the keyboard and zoom in, like with your scroll wheel. If you press U on your keyboard, you can project from view bounds. that will change the UVs to actually be correct. The UVs are how the material gets applied on the object. So if you don't do this, it will look the way that it looks in the thing, right? So then we need to export this again. You can just overwrite, your settings should be saved from before. You can just overwrite the one that you already had. And then inside of your game, the only thing you really have to do is if you click on the staff effect tutorial, you can delete it. And then you can just drag this one that we just did into the slot where it used to be. And then if you press save again, you can see that it is correctly applied where it's like actually, let me just do it from the actual VFX so we don't get that artifact at the back. And I'll just choose the hand option. So you can see that that's like, it's crisply faded into like this effect. And you could also make it like flash at the end if you want to, or you can make it dissipate a little bit. So it could go like full alpha all the way to here and then blend to 0 at the very end if you want to. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the effect. So then in order to play this, let's just dock this at the top here. So in order to play this, what you need to do is inside of your player attack script, again, this is only for my game. So for your game, you can do it in a very similar way. So in the player attack script, I created a variable for this at the very top right here, a public visual effect attack effect. And then I just, inside of the player attack thing on the right, I just drag this effect into this slot. So then when you play it, when I'm doing the actual attack itself, which is handled by the animation, this is the method for the attack. I'm just calling attack effect.play. Oh, there's also one more thing. So the staff tutorial, the initial event name is on play. Just delete this. You have to do this when the game's not running. Hang on. So delete this. That way, when you start the game, this won't just play itself. It will only play when it's called, because you only want him to do this when you're actually attacking. So yeah. So obviously my other one was a little bit bigger. It's the size over life is a little bit bigger, and this also looks like it might need to be a little bit faster. So like instead of a 0.4 millisecond lifetime, you could do a 0.3 millisecond lifetime. So you could set the size over life to just be larger as it gets to the very end. So instead of it being, because like there's not a limit on this, right? So you can take these two keys at the end and, oh shit, can you do both at the same time? Yeah, so just drag them up to like 2 or something or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like you can make it however you want to. This is the basis of how I made this, so you should be doing whatever you want to, right? So then it makes it a little bit bigger, and this looks exactly like the one that I have, but it does look like it needs to be like 0.38 seconds. I'm not going to fine tune this while you guys are watching. It's a waste of time. You can fine tune it yourself. So the staff effect should finish as the thing leaves. It looks like if you look closely, the staff effect is hanging on for maybe like 0.2 seconds or 0.02 seconds afterwards. So you should make it exactly match. That's going to be pretty much it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And yeah.